What if you could use AI to correctly edit all of your RAW files?
Hey, you can already do that.
What if you could use AI to cull through a full wedding or portrait session and pick out all of the best images?
Patrick, have you been living under a rock?
Okay, well, what if you could use AI to edit, cull, and retouch every single person's face in every single photo, all automatically?
Okay, that would be something new.
Today, I'm going to be looking at the new skin retouching tool released by Aftershoot, simply called Retouch. So for the last month or so, I've been doing a deep dive into a bunch of the latest photo editing software made by the biggest photo software companies on the market. Right now, I am in the middle of editing my review of Aftershoot's culling and editing software, but I just found out that they are releasing a new skin retouching module that claims to be able to automatically improve skin throughout your entire photo sessions, including full weddings, family portrait sessions, and school portrait sessions. So when I heard about this announcement, I decided to put my other review on pause, and today I'm gonna be strictly looking at their newest editing tool, simply called Retouch. Normally I put this at the end of the video, but before I jump into this, if you want to try this software for free and test drive the new Retouch tool, use the link in the description below. Aftershoot is doing something pretty interesting. They're offering this tool 100% free for the entire summer. So from now until September, you can demo the software, or you can use it professionally if you're already an Aftershoot user. Now, a little disclaimer, this software just came out like within the last 48 hours, and I suspect that I might be a little critical in this video because this is the first time that Aftershoot has released retouching. And everyone knows the first time you come out of the gate with something, it's never quite perfect. I also have a lot of experience with other retouching software that is just used for retouching only. It's not used for culling, and it's not used for applying specific looks over huge, batches of images. And I just released a video a few weeks ago, I'll put a link in the description for that as well, where I go through all of this other software to see which one might be the best retouching software. And so I thought it'd be really good, since I just did that test, to run those same images through Aftershoot and see how Aftershoot's results compare to Evoto, Retouch for Me, and Aperty, software that's really strictly only used to retouch skin, and see how this part of Aftershoot software compares to software that is specifically designed only to handle skin retouching. So if you want to go ahead and jump ahead in this video and see exactly how Aftershoot compares to the competition, I've made an annotation in the description below so you can check that out. All that being said, the real claim to fame for Aftershoot is their AI editing and their AI culling. So if they can add retouching to this platform, I personally think they have a chance of being the best all-around software, especially for those photographers needing to deliver large amounts of images like you would have with weddings, catalog work, headshots, or say family portraits. So for this video, I've just imported a bunch of different images. I actually have some photos of myself with crazy different facial features. I got some pictures of my family. I have some wedding images, and I have a bunch of images with larger groups of people. All right, so here's a picture of my sister, and this was actually taken by Peter Hurley. And this is an image that I have pre any retouch. So the lighting and everything looks really good, but we haven't done any retouching to her at all. If I hit the space bar, I can toggle into my image and start to see better detail. I'll make sure I zoom in so you can see this on YouTube. Over here on the right, we can choose between individuals and groups. Right now I'm under the individual setting. And depending on the type of retouching you want to do, you could choose the type of person in your image. Let's go ahead and just select feminine, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start bumping up these sliders. We have acne, which should remove any acne that you would have in the frame. I don't know that my sister really had any acne. You could also bump this up and start removing freckles. I'm just gonna bump these up to 100% so that we can see what it's doing, and then I can come up here and do the before and after. So it's pretty cool that it doesn't remove all of the features from someone's face, and it's leaving the neck alone. That part of the image is also a little out of focus because of the shallow depth of field. If you met my sister in person, that would be a feature that you would see, so it's kind of nice that it's not removing that. But as we do the before and after, you can see how much of a difference it has made in some of the rosacea that she and I both have on our face. And it's just evened her skin tone up incredibly well. And that's at 100%. One thing I've noticed with this software is, unlike other software, 100% can sometimes look really cartoony. I feel like you can actually go closer to 100% in Aftershoot and it looks still really natural. So I don't know if at some point you might want to go further than 100, but it seems like they have kind of retained their retouching to be a little bit more conservative. And I found that going to 100 might seem crazy in my mind to do in other software. it's actually pretty usable in this. If I bump up the blemish removal, you can see what that's doing now, especially some of these little specks and everything on her eye. The blemish removal might be the slider that is making things look slightly more retouched. So maybe I just bring that down to a more conservative 40% here. And if I zoom out and do the before and after, you can see that is a huge difference. And we've only messed really with 3 sliders. Underneath the blemish removal tool, there is a wrinkle tool. You can then mess with forehead wrinkles, eye bags, and smile lines. I don't really see any of that here. My sister's not showing any teeth, so we're gonna skip past that one. And then under face, there is the face brightening and face smoothing. And face smoothing is definitely going to start to blur some of the pixels. And this might be better if you were doing like a beauty shot or something where you really want the retouch to be a little bit heavier. I think for this, I'm gonna just go ahead and leave that completely off. There is an eye brightening tool, and you can see what that does here. Makes a huge difference. I do wish and hope that they will release some kind of redness in the eye or vein desaturator, something like that, because as you can see here, my sister does have a little bit of redness that would be nice to be able to correct. At the moment, it doesn't seem like the software does that. So I think this looks really great, and again, the purpose of Aftershoot is to apply all of this through a ton of images. So if I were to find a recipe, so to speak, for headshots, like we have here with Peter Hurley's image, I could then come up to custom presets. I could then save the preset using all of the different settings that I've made, and I could have a preset that I've built and designed only for headshots. So that's really, really useful. Here's an outtake image from one of the most viral photo shoots I ever did. It was called Rich Man, Poor Man Photographer, where we used strobes that were really expensive, and then we built the exact same setup using strobes that were really cheap. This was an image early on in that setup, so this isn't quite the final image, but let's see what it can do with an image like this. So I'm gonna just bring up the acne, freckles, and blemish removal, maybe up to like 50% on both. I feel like her face could be a little underexposed, maybe. They make a slider here called face brightening. Let's see how this works. And if we slide that one up, it's going to only make her face brighter. And you can see, even at 50%, that might be like half a stop. It's not an extreme amount of brightness. It kind of blends into the scene really well. And if I zoom in here, you can see she has a lot of stray hairs. So we could use the actual stray hair slider just for this specific application, but Retouch also has this patch tool that quickly removes objects easily and seamlessly. So I'm just gonna draw over her stray hairs here, and we can remove the specific flyaways without removing everything. And this keeps the image looking much more natural. And so just by using a few sliders, we have gone from this original image to one that I think is a little bit more flattering. That's pretty incredible. So that's how Retouch works on individual photos. I think that this is really acceptable. Again, we'll compare some of these images here in a minute to the other software that's out there. But what I really want to see is how does this work with the larger groups of people? Because if you're shooting weddings or family portraits, those are always the situations where it's like, somebody could use a little bit of help here, or maybe your lighting isn't lighting up everyone evenly and you might need to bring up some of the faces from the shadow. This software could really be useful in that situation. So I have a few images here. This is a photo booth image from my wedding. As you can see, it's a pretty crazy group of people here. And if I go to group here, it has selected all of them. I'm not totally sure how different some of these algorithms will be, but since every person in this image is a male, let's go ahead and hit masculine. You can see it's added these little boxes around every single person's face, which is pretty incredible. If I come over to individual, it actually identifies each one of these people. Person 1 is Nick, person 2 is David, person 3 is me, person 4 is Mike Kelly, and person 5 is Peter Hurley. And so what you can do is you can go in here and you can start making adjustments per person, which is pretty crazy. So if you had a group shot where you really want to tweak everybody, you can definitely do that. Or you can go back to the group setting and then just do like a global adjustment that's going to be affecting every single person. So I'm not really sure where to go with this because it's hard to look at any one person and decide, you know, what acne level or freckles or blemish removal you should go for. So I'm just going to go up to like, I don't know, maybe 40. Let's just do 40 on all of these. I think when you're working with large groups of people or weddings, you're going to be a lot less particular about these specific sliders as you would be if you were working with one single model and you could say, okay, he or she has a lot of freckles, or he or she has a lot of blemishes that need to be removed. I think for a group, it probably makes the most sense to kind of treat these a little bit equally. So I'm just gonna zoom in on my face and share the embarrassment. And this particular image has been edited with a lot of clarity, and if you've ever used the clarity slider, it gives you that kind of grungy commercial look that can be kind of cool, but it also is horrible for skin. And so what you can see here is it's really reducing a lot of the sharpness. Let me zoom in even more here. It's helping to even out the skin texture that the clarity slider has added, while at the same time not making it blatantly obvious that we've added some kind of skin retouching to this image. I don't know what's going on with Peter in this particular frame, but let's go ahead and bump up the forehead wrinkles since he has some predominant wrinkles showing up there. And let's do a little before and after, and you can see it has softened that up quite a bit as well. Bump up the eye bags. And I don't really like to brighten teeth. I don't think that that always looks natural, but I would like to, maybe whiten some of the teeth. So let's pull that up as well. One thing I'm noticing using this software is I am pulling a lot of stuff up to 50% to still see a fairly subtle retouch. So like I said earlier, unlike other software where 50% and 100 is way too much, it appears as if Aftershoot has almost calibrated their sliders to be more on the conservative side, and maybe the total width of where you can go isn't quite as great as some of the other software, but because of that, everything kind of falls in this more natural realm. So I don't know, I'm just finding that I'm bumping everything up to 50% or even higher to get a result that still looks natural, but actually shows up in my photographs. So you can really see that on David's face. It is just pulling down some of the shadows, I don't know, like 30 to 50%. And it's really, really subtle. If you didn't see me clicking the before and after and you just saw the final image, especially zoomed out, I don't know that you would think that it's retouched, but it's definitely making the image subconsciously better. So if you're trying to deliver the best product possible, I definitely think that this is making every image better. Let's jump over to another wedding photo. This one's got a huge shallow depth of field where everyone in the background is out of focus. Let's see what it does with this. It is identified. Let's see how many individuals here. We have 5 different people. We have the girl behind the microphone. We have the bride. We have the guy behind her. We have the girl on the right-hand side. And maybe we have this one person way back here that's kind of out of focus. So instead of changing everything manually like I've been doing, let's come up here to custom presets. Aftershoot gives you a bunch of presets that you can use so that you don't have to kind of come up with your own recipes. There's one called Wedding Radiance. Down here in the bottom, you can actually see all of the different settings that it's going through. Because it's having to apply all of this to each person, the group setting does take a little bit more time. I'm finding that each one of these images might take like 30 seconds to apply, but obviously the more people in your photo, the longer that's probably going to take. So that is done. So if I do the before and after, you can really see what it's doing on the bride's face there. It is lifting everything. It's almost playing with the highlights a little bit. And no doubt that looks better. The girl here in the foreground, it's definitely removed some of the redness in her face, as it is the guy here out of focus in the background. So obviously this can be really useful for weddings where you have tons of different people and you just want to apply a small amount of retouch to every person that's in focus throughout the entire wedding. Or if you just want to import specific selects and make those look a little bit better, you could also do that as well. Let's look at one final image here because I think this is another example where this is just going to be such a game changer. And that is when you're shooting family portraits. This actually might be at a wedding. I think the bride is here, but there's been many times where I've been hired to shoot family pictures and you have 2 or 3 families, and by the time you get them all together, the extended family turns out to be like 20 people. Let's see how many individuals are in this group. I mean, this is wild. Look at this. It is named every person. We have 24 different people, and if I click on these, it's going to highlight each one of them, which is pretty wild. If I zoom in, you can see it's put boxes over every one of them. And honestly, I feel like I did a pretty good job with this photo. I managed the light and everybody looks like they have the same even light on them, but let's see what we can do here. Let's go down to face pop and let's see what this does. For an image like this, what I would probably do is come down to face and bump up the face brightening a little bit, which is exactly what it did. It went up to 50%. And let's do a before and after here. And as you can see, without changing the overall exposure or any of the exposure on everyone's body, it has lifted up everyone's face. Now, if you went too extreme with this, I think it could look very cartoony and very strange to have everyone's face a little bit brighter than the rest of their body. But if you're conservative with it, like this seems to be, I think it just makes everyone pop just a little bit more. It adds a little bit more clarity in their face, and really that's the purpose of this image. It's, you know, to show everyone there and to give everyone kind of an even spotlight. But I could see if the light wasn't even this even, and maybe you were shooting with side lighting, or you were shooting, you know, into the sun and everyone was backlit, being able to bring up their faces specifically just a little bit could be really, really useful. We've all had those photo shoots where people's faces just aren't quite as clear as we'd like them to be. It's pretty wild that you can do that with a group setting like this. Now, this software did just come out, and I haven't had a lot of time to play with it, at least not more than a few days. But there is one thing that I think could give you a little hiccup, or something that you at least need to be aware of, and that is the idea of adding a global retouch to everyone's face in a group setting, and then trying to maybe adjust the individuals. Like I could come up here and I could pick out one specific person, and then I could give them a slightly different retouch just for them. But then if I want to copy that setting and then apply it for a full photo shoot, you could imagine some people in that group might leave and you might have new people coming in. It's not going to be the same group every time. And so I can see where you're going to have to prioritize how you're going to batch out some of these edits depending on the group. The software is incredibly smart, but it's not smart enough to know how to, you know, apply a group setting across a full day of a wedding, right? Like that's just not going to make sense. So that is something to keep in mind as you're editing. The software does kind of prioritize individuals and then people in a specific way. So before you start applying all of this to full photo shoots, you do want to kind of know the limitations and maybe come up with different presets, and then also group your photos together and apply those presets to the groups. I hope that makes sense. Now, speaking of presets and batching things, that's one of the huge advantages of this software, is not only are you going to potentially edit and cull everything beforehand, but now you can start to batch these retouches over large groups of people. And so the way to do that, it's really simple. You just hit Control-C with an image. So I'm going to copy all of these settings from this one image, and then I could just hit Shift and select a group of pictures. Of course, this really wouldn't work in this situation because I'm going from a group to individuals. And then I could come down here and hit Sync 5 Photos, and it's going to now update all of the pictures that I selected with the preset of the image that was the main selected image. As I mentioned earlier, it seems batching the retouching with a group of people is going to take much longer than batching a single person. So if you were shooting a wedding, you might want to try to batch a kind of mid-level retouch across your entire wedding, and then sync that, and then maybe you leave and then come back in an hour and all your pictures are ready to export. If you're just doing a portrait session or a headshot session, you might be able to sync everything a lot quicker because you just have the one person that it needs to adjust. So now that we've played around with those images, let's come up here to the Aftershoot button. If I click this, it's going to take me back to my import page. I'm going to go to create a new album. I'm going to upload a bunch of RAW and JPEGs. You also could import a Lightroom catalog as well. I'm going to go ahead and import my images that I used on the other retouching software. We're going to set these to portraits and headshots. These are the 5 images I used in my previous retouching shootout video. And if you haven't watched that video comparison, all of the images here, the models have moderate skin blemishes and acne. So if I zoom in really far, you can kind of see what we're working with here. Some cases, the acne is heavier than others. And so what I've done is I've created a similar moderate heavy retouch that looks as close as I can kind of get it to the other software. I'm going to run all 5 of these images through Aftershoot, export them out, and now you're going to see the final retouches from Retouch for Me, Evoto, Aperty, and Aftershoot back to back. And in my opinion, I mean, what's kind of crazy is these all seem to be doing a pretty good job. I think Evoto might be the strongest, most powerful software out of all of them, but it's specifically designed for every type of retouch and alteration that you could possibly do on an image. But what's wild is that even though at the beginning of this video, I said that Aftershoot might be at a disadvantage because they just released this and how good could it possibly be right out of the gate, I think they're actually very competitive. If you look at these images back to back, Aftershoot is holding its own against this other software, especially when you consider that retouch is just one little portion of what Aftershoot does. I think the results here that you're seeing are really, really good. So before I wrap this video up, we do need to talk about the pricing model, because all the software that I've been reviewing lately has wildly different ways that they price it all out. Some of them are charging per image, some of them are charging monthly subscriptions, and then others, you know, you get a yearly subscription and it knocks the cost down a lot, and you might be able to edit a ton of images all for one single price. As you can see here, Aftershoot has 4 different plans that range from Selects, that has culling only, to Essentials, which allows culling and editing with pre-built AI profiles, to their Pro and Max plans, which allow you to build your own custom personal AI editing profiles. So what's really nice about what Aftershoot is doing with their pricing model is that they're kind of opening up different portals based on these tiers, but once you're in that tier, you can use their software to run as many images as you want. And it looks like they're going to do that with the retouching as well. So if you have the Pro plan and you're already subscribed to that and you're running all your weddings through it each year and you're shooting 10 or 20 or 50 weddings a year, you could add the retouching to it and it should all be included. At least that's the way that it seems as of now. Right now, everyone's able to use the retouching, at least until September when the full pricing and launch occurs. So if you want to download the software and try it for free, you can do that through the link in the description below. Or if you're already an Aftershoot user and you've already subscribed to their software, you can now just download the updated version of their software and see if that's something that you're going to want to use in the future. So there you go. There's Aftershoot's latest update. They are now in the AI retouching game. I'm really excited because the more people that get involved with this, the more options that you have as a photographer. And it's great that it's now coming into these programs that are doing culling and editing, because now you might just need one piece of software to get through your entire photo shoot and offer the best possible product to your clients. If you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel below. Also head over to fstoppers.com to check out our free daily content. And if you're a photographer who likes to compete in photo contests, Fstoppers is running the Critique the Community contest every single month. This month we're doing abstracts, so if you have any great abstract photos, go ahead and head over to fstoppers.com/contest, upload your abstract photos. Every month we give away some really cool prizes, from free software, free tutorials, lenses, cameras, lighting gear, photography accessories, so definitely check that out. And if you're someone who wants to up their photography game, head over to fstoppers.com/store, where you can check out our full-length photography tutorials. We have long 10 to 20 hour tutorials on every genre of photography, from headshots, landscapes, weddings, architecture photography, product photography, macro photography, swimwear photography. There's literally something for everybody. So no matter if you're a photographer already and you're just looking to up your game and get better in the genre of photography that you're already shooting, or if you're looking to potentially branch out into something that you've never shot before, definitely check out fstoppers.com/store and use the discount code YouTube to save 15%. I hope you guys enjoy this video and you're having a great summer, and I will see you guys really soon.